Here we go.
Right to it.
This is Michael J. Nelson and Connor Listoka. Connor's back at his home base. Last episode, you were out in the surf and sun and undisclosed location. We can't say where.
Yeah, but people had all the peanut gallery was happy to speculate whether I was in a dungeon or that chamber in Minnesota where it's the quietest place on earth and the
been there,
echoes, or what's the place out in the desert in California?
Neil Breen's house. Is
Yes,
that what you're talking about?
Me and Nee Bree were working on his next project. I just called in to advise him on it. But
I was out his laptops. Yeah.
Yeah. Neil, set up the ThinkPad from 1995 on this side, and then let's get your iMac over here. That'll make sense to 2% of people.
2%. Less than that.
Yeah, the mic issues I believe have been fixed. It was a good room I was recording in. It just happened to echo a bit. I don't know why this room doesn't echo as much as that room, but it must be a West Coast thing.
Who can explain these things? I don't know. I once recorded an entire episode on my laptop mic and forgot to switch. So let's not throw stones here.
I want to apologize to everyone who's never heard a podcast before where there's like slight dips in sound quality. It's just
didn't you say that like some what is like ESPN podcasts or something, and they have 30 billion listeners or whatever.
Yeah,
and the guy will be like, "Hey, sorry, man, I had the wrong mic plugged in."
Yeah, I'm driving in a car with the top down on a BlackBerry, and I'm calling in to talk about the NFL draft.
Yeah. I'm in the mountains. I'm going through a tunnel. Hang on.
Yeah. Don't edit this out. Leave it in.
Yes.
So
anyway,
deep apologies.
Yeah, so we start off with this, and we didn't even explain what this is. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
This is the podcast where we read books that we're not expecting to like, but often find secret and unexpected delights in. And this time around, we're reading one called Kaileb's Dream by Kaileb Varney. It is a ebook only available on Amazon. It costs $2.99, and it is written by a man in his 30s, I assume, just based on the basic preliminary research. He probably wrote it maybe in his 20s, but it is about a ongoing and continuous dream he had in real life that he is attempting to turn into a novel here with.
Well, he dreams. He dreams. We should note. Long passages of things from other books is one of his. So I don't do that. I don't fall asleep and like dream of Mark Twain, things. I'm not on a raft going down the river. I'm not.
You're not finding the Pelican Brief on a bus.
No,
and being like, I've got to save those justices.
But somehow this guy happens to dream like a lot of other books.
Oh, okay, interesting. If you're picking up on allusions or cribbing, I would like to hear that.
Wow!
When we get to it,
I think it's pretty obvious, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm not well read in the things that he's probably read,
okay.
So we don't. My allusions are probably only this thin.
Got it. But so this is we last time. I think part of the reason people were objected to our my sound quality was because that episode went over 3 hours. We opted to read just a chapter of this book. It's the 5th chapter. It's called Messenger of the King, not to be confused with an earlier chapter in the book, which was just titled The Messenger. Yes. But this is probably the most prog rocky title yet. It's like a King Crimson album or a Rick Wakeman song suite, something like that. The Messenger of the King.
There's like temples of Syrinx and stuff. We already have that, right? Like
yes. For sure. It would if it came out that this guy only listened to Billie Eilish and J-Lo pop songs, that would be the most shocking thing about any author we've ever heard. This guy has prog rock in his veins.
I will point out that the other evening we spent a fine evening with a woman who copy edited our Nick Nolte book.
Oh, sure.
And so that just brought it to mind, like
She was released from the mental hospital from.
Well, she said she didn't really bring it up. We didn't talk about it because it was around other people. But she sent me a text like, "Well, I just my
do not bring this up."
Yeah, my history, my web history is now ruined. Thank you. And then she also said, "How did you guys misspell every celebrity's name? Like every single one?" I was like, "What? I thought we got some of them right. Like you did not." Anyway,
you misspelled Baby Gronk. You misspelled Liv.
Yes, exactly. This guy, copy editor. They're not that expensive, right? I mean, they're probably underpaid for what they do. It's hard work. Copy edit. Anyway, that's my advice to all people who write their own books. Copy edit.
It does allow for just stunning, previously unseen techniques, such as attributing actions as quotes, or just never starting a quote and then ending it, which is a bold move.
That comes up a lot. Those gave me some unexpected laughs. I brought up with my son the Clam Woman, who got. He enjoyed that. Like, normally a typo you don't get a snort out loud laugh, but that was a good one. I looked across the restaurant and a Clam Woman stood up and came toward me.
The most chilling sentence ever written.
Yes. Wow.
Well, if we could summarize the book in 30 seconds up to this point, we have a 15-year-old boy who is also a master of a grand council. His name is White Bow. He takes a classmate as a wife, and they go to another realm, possibly in Mexico or South America, where a demon war is brewing. Demons are constant presences, and they're building a temple/pyramid. And he also goes back and forth to his hometown in suburban Ohio to check in with his parents and occasionally grill some brats.
And he has certain powers as Master White Bow. He is a master of something. He has spikes that come out of his chest. He has a flight suit. He has boots.
He can stop time.
He can stop time. He can levitate.
Hold his breath underwater.
He can fly 6,000. Was it 6,000 miles an hour?
Yes, maybe even up to 8.
So,
he can shoot out spikes and spin really fast.
Yeah, spins super fast and spikes. And he's a vampire.
And a healer. Sometimes he can heal you by being a vampire.
And he can die and come back to life?
Well, we find that out in this one, I think.
I thought in the last one he died.
He did die? Okay.
I think he died in the last one. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So the stakes are really high here.
Yes. So, all right. And so at this point... Oh, also they go and they just hang out a lot.
Oh,
There's a lot of that. They're building something, which seems to be the engine driving the plot. There's a war that's scheduled.
Yes,
with the demons. They're like,
he's
it's
having
on the
some
calendar.
Guys. Yeah, the demon war's coming. Oh, and his daughter from the future also visited.
Oh, his daughter from the future visited. Yes.
But the people are building the temple somewhere, and he's just sort of like, I trust them. I got a good general contractor, so that's sort of happening, and they go and check in every now and then.
Yeah, and so they go to these places. They go to like Daytona Beach and stuff, and they just kind of hang out by themselves. And then eagles fall into lakes, and then demons attack them. And but it's a lot of just hanging out and they had that one weekend with the ski weekend, basically, with those people that just came over.
Yeah, the sort of like weird, couple where you get the sense that like maybe they're into polyamory or something. They bring out the flutes and they play them together, staring at the women.
Yeah, and also, they're at his. He has a pyramid, right? He lives in a pyramid.
Yes.
So he had guests come over and they stayed in the pyramid, and you got the sense that they had to share a bathroom, so there was a dop kit, on the sink, and then she goes in there for 20 minutes, and oh boy,
she did eat a lot of that pork.
I can't follow that.
Enchiladas are.
Yeah. So anyway. So that's where we are. There's no real plot, so I don't know.
Sure, yeah. The demon war is brewing, but you get the sense that's really not that big of a concern. Yes. He doesn't seem that concerned, even though he's established that the demons have 100 million or perhaps 100 billion people, and they have substantially less than that in their army. But
what if our accountant at RiffTrax said that, guys, we're down a couple million. or
God.
a couple billion.
What?
I can't. It's hard to. I don't know.
Oh.
I'll send you the sheet and you can see it.
I suppose at some point it stops really mattering, but
Yes.
it's a funny thing to sort of just hand wave away. A billion demons. Well, this is the beginning of the chapter. Gives you a very good sense of his writing style, and this quick passage. It's 3 sentences. He says, so they're back in Ohio at the moment, I think.
Oh, back in Ohio. That's
yes.
the Chrissy Hines song. I went back to Ohio. Do, 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 do. Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
He wakes up early in the morning, and then Hope wakes up at 7. He says, her scent was stronger than usual because I hadn't been among it for a while. She wore a nice casual sundress, dark blue it was. In her right hand, she held the letter of which I wrote only 24 hours before. So he's dropping some cool constructions on us here. And you'll recall, I went back and looked up what this letter was. It's the letter he wrote to her because they were staying at each other's parents' house because they're only 15 too.
They're 15.
So when I'm making jokes about a couple trying to seduce them into polyamory, it's because this author is in his 30s, but he's writing this 15-year-old who was him. It's named him, so it's clearly him. So it's hard not to interpret it that way. But he is a 15-year-old boy. Yes. But he wrote her a letter and signed it "Su Esposo Randolfo," which we were curious about, and it clearly doesn't matter because the name Randolfo is never mentioned again.
What does he do with the? She hands him the letter. She gestured for me to take it, so I did. It found refuge in my right back pants pocket. And then one of the weirdest sentences. I don't think you'll see this in any other book. We still had 2 months in Iris, so why not go and do something? Like fight crime or something. You're just not going to find that sentence in any other. I can't imagine another human writing that.
No, I don't think so. And I predicted that was going to smash dumb sentence records submissions. I don't think it did because there's just so many. But early on, I made that prediction.
Oh, there are so many. And then he says, so he's waiting. He goes to her house, and the eating is a big part of this. I guess we should, if you haven't been listening, there's a lot of food stuff in this, in eating.
Yes, preparing and eating food.
I hadn't eaten anything since about 5 this morning, period. So, I was very hungry, and I assumed she was as well. What?
Hunger projection.
He woke up and ate at 5?
He ate at 5, and as I mentioned
earlier,
stood
outside of her door, and then was like, "Oh man, this has been a long standing around. You got to be hungry."
But it wasn't that long. It said at about 7 is when she walked out.
I know.
So he woke up at 8 at 5 and then got extremely hungry 2 hours later. He's unwell. He's got the metabolism of like a hummingbird.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's a funny thing to do. Just anything you feel, you got to assume that your 15-year-old wife feels it as well.
So when you're hungry, I mean, I don't know. You go to Denny's or whatever, and like, should we do this? I remember once we went to White Castle.
Oh dear!
And then when it was over, all of us were like, "Look, 5 years off of White Castle." Everyone's like, "Yes." And then
right.
My friend confessed, like, it was 4 years in, and I went to a White Castle. I'm sorry.
Oh man!
I was like, "You broke the vow. It's every 5 years." So anyway, what do they do instead of White Castle or Denny's? What do? They go and kill a deer.
They walk out the door of suburban Chillicothe, Ohio, and I guess find a deer pretty quickly. It must be near the woods, just like the town in Nigeria in the Teen Archaeologist was. They can just walk out the, and it's like I guess what you were talking about earlier with what he's cribbing is Twilight, because that's
exactly
how the first movie starts. I think is the Edward killing a deer.
Yeah,
but
Twilight.
It's they hunt the deer as panthers. They turn into panthers and eat it. It says we continued to gorge our appetite until the bones and some fur was all that remained of the deer. So pretty much just goes after it like cartoon piranhas.
And he says the taste of that first bite of fur, and meat as well as the warm blood in my mouth was what I had been craving for weeks now. You ate at 5 a.m. It's 7:03.
Well, maybe he powered down a bowl of like
How many weeks?
Crispix and was like, it's just if only this had some fur on it. That would
this
really
is not doing it.
Yeah. If Captain Crunch was coated in fur, it might not cut up the roof of my mouth.
But so they go to hunt as panthers, right?
Yes.
And so she smiled, and we quickly disappeared into the nearby forest. There's always a nearby forest, no matter where you are. We stayed our steel claws and allowed the panther to take control.
Okay. So those are...
Because they have steel... I forgot of all of his powers.
They're Wolverine claws that are coated in plasma.
Wolverine claws. What is it? Doused in? Coated in?
Coated in plasma.
Coated in plasma.
And they use that to chop vegetables.
That's right. She makes the meal. When she makes stew, she uses her steel claws to slice up the stuff.
So he's like sort of nudging her and being like, we are panthers now. Put away your steel claws.
Stay.
You're embarrassing me. And then they devour the deer. They skeletonize it. And then he says, you haven't eaten like that in a long time. I agree with you completely. The meat was so juicy, and it was nice to let loose again. I recall only that last sentence, after which I fell asleep. So he's like, your dad on Thanksgiving. He's just like, ugh. Like just revolting, full gut. And then she falls asleep too. She too slept, evidenced by her still lying against me. So it's good evidence that someone is sleeping by them sleeping.
That, by the way, is also one quote. He does not close the quotes on that. So he's saying all that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I think I've said this before. My dad, he worked nights for many years when I was in high school, and he would go, he would say, like, I only need like 4 hours of sleep. I can function. But then anytime he would sit down, just like eat a meal, he'd sit down, he'd just go, oh. We go, Dad, that's not really functioning. Unbuckle the pants and sit in the chair and turn on the TV. And then you'd go in to change the channel, and he'd wake up and go, hey, I'm watching that. You are not functioning. Get more sleep.
I was with someone, a friend's father, who fell asleep at the dinner table somewhat recently, and I was like, this is what the rest of, just as having parents that get older, it was like a Grandpa Simpson, like full head back, like sort of story, and being like, I guess this just happens.
We have friends where the one guy's, he's an on-call doctor, like, I don't know, something, like pediatric surgery or something. Yeah. So he'll be at a dinner party, and you're just talking to him, and he'll just nod off. But it's like, that's fine. The guy's like, I'm on call. I was up last night until 7.
Sure, if he's able to sort of snap to it once he gets the call,
But it is very funny.
Scalpel.
Just like look over at a guy, and he's just like at the dinner
on his
table,
asleep.
Fork full of salad, like
chunk of pork in his mouth.
Yeah, ever present.
Well, this is a question here. It says, once they've woke up and they're like going back about their day in Ohio, it says, the fresh air circulated around. Each breath was clean and without effort. The dress she wore was kissed gently, gliding with each passing breeze. So that's kind of a little poetic sentence. But when they do this transformation, are there sundresses and outfits like the Hulk's pants when they transform into panthers? Like, do they just?
That's a good question.
So are the panthers wearing a nice dress or something like that as they're?
I sent those sentences to Bridget, by the way. I'm like, hey, I have to read this book. I'll be up in a bit. And I texted her the 2 sentences, and she goes, what the I'm like, yep, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, these are some of the better sentences here. Like,
this one, I just, like, a million question marks. I don't really have, I'm sorry, I didn't formulate this in the form of a joke or anything. I don't know if I can wait that long. 2 months, that's insane. It was a tone of anger, but it was also happy.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I was anticipating a Sonic challenge. That's rubbing your head and patting your stomach, but for vocalization.
Oh yeah, I should have phrased that in the form of a Sonic challenge.
You would just launch into Charlie Callis or. If you're trying to do that, it's impossible. It's dividing by 0.
Bobcat Goldthwait, maybe, in the middle of it? Like, I don't know if I could wait that long. That's insane! I'm sorry.
Sorry. I still have some residual Panther coming out. That was... But that's their what you can't wait 2 months is to go back to Tequilqua.
To Telequa, yes.
Yeah. And Jeff, a listener, wrote in. Jeff is someone that I trust. He's the guy that read all the Quilters series.
Yeah.
He says, as far as I can tell, Tequilqua is a parallel dimension to our own, containing its own countries and provinces and whatnot, while Iris is the council's name for our own world, the one that Ohio is in. So
that's
they have
what I
to
was going to
travel.
ask. Like, what is, because he's like, we're going back to Iris, right?
Yeah, so I think that's, your Earth, which we refer to as Iris, or your dimension, who knows what it is.
Wow, that is a close reading. I did not get that from.
Yeah, I don't know if that's based on reading further in the book or just, interpreting stuff that we didn't pick up on. But it makes sense. Although I thought Tequilqua was in Mexico or...
What does he say? Where is it? It's a parallel dimension.
So it must be a parallel dimension or like a layer you can turn on and off.
But he flew from it, right? Doesn't he fly?
That is
and
true,
then
but maybe
Border Patrol.
He did impress the Border Patrol. They said, look at that, man. Wow,
look at that. Gosh, I just the dumb sentences stack up, so I guess I'll burn one.
Why not?
This is no punctuation, so I'll just read it as it said. We continue to walk our conversation, deepening with each word.
Come on, conversation. Come on, boy. Heal.
Conversation. Conversation. Don't you conversation.
And what they say there right after it is their conversation as it deepens is, what would you say about marriage? I mean, marrying me. We have been married as warriors since that day at the restaurant. And just as an advice to the fellas out there, I would say that plan out a proposal a bit more. Make it a bit more special, because that really sounded like you came off with it off the top of your head. It's not super romantic.
But then, I mean, marriage is inevitable, as they know, right? And I forget who's. This is unattributed, so I can't make sense of it. I have no idea who's speaking. We must. I have thought about it as well, especially after meeting our daughter from the future. Period. She interrupted. Kira, you mean? New quotes. Yes, Kira, that is why I don't worry, because I know we get the chance to cross, that line. I know we are married eventually as mortals. All of it unattributed and on the same line, and sort of like there's no way to tell who's talking.
Yes. And when I said that marriage proposal was for the fellas, that also could have been her wanting to get... I think that was her saying, because the next question starts with hope. So I think that was her saying, why don't we get married? And he says, hope, I know. So...
okay.
It's extremely confusing, because as we discussed in the last episode, there's also multiple points of view in this book and in this chapter as well. So at any point in time, anyone could be speaking, or it could be from their point of view. So it keeps you on your toes.
The point of view thing is utter madness. That is so maddening. I mean, that is unprecedented in any piece of literature in all of history, right?
Introducing a character and then having the book be from their point of view for the next couple pages, only to never hear from them again. Yeah, that's. I don't think that James Michener ever tried that.
I mean, some like high level Nabokov novel or something might do it, but it like gives you. It's for some reason, or so. This is just this person's point of view now. No indication of it. They have the exact same intonation and inner thought life, so there's no way to tell until you're like, wait, what? Who? And then that's you have to go back and go like, oh, it's switched like 3 paragraphs back.
Right. It's that character that was mentioned 3 chapters ago, and we didn't hear about until now. But that's why the book is kind of a refreshing thing. You don't get that kind of bold stylistic choice in some of the movies we watch. It's hard to do that there, and this has allowed for a whole new realm of badness by introducing that type of choice.
You say. Refreshing.
We'll see how, when this is picked up by Spielberg, we'll see how he chooses to interpret these first-person moments. I don't know.
That's true.
And then they just start flying again after this conversation of marriage. They jump into the air and then have a description that I would love to see a Spielberg interpretation of, or maybe even just a drawing. I jumped into the air and let go of her, flipping underneath of her, allowing her to land on my stomach. We accelerated to speeds just under the sound barrier as she looked into my eyes. She now had turned herself so that I was lying on her back with my chin resting lightly on the back of her neck. So we wondered how they flied on their wands in Antigua. I'm very curious how they're flying now, because it sort of reads like someone is Superman and the other one's sitting on them or lying on top of them as well. It's confusing.
It's very confusing. Is this the part where the dress she wore was kissed gently?
I mean, that was,
or was that earlier?
When they started the walk.
Yeah, I put that out of order. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Equally, her hair was tossed only to rest against her shoulders.
Yes.
Equally. Anyway, sorry, I put that out of order. But, yeah, so they're doing the Superman thing. Mm-hmm. Sort of like, I don't know, what do they kind of... It's hard to, like you said, it's hard to describe it. They're like hugging and flying.
Yeah, because I don't think she can fly at the moment. I don't know if that's part of her training that she hasn't mastered yet, or, then again, he didn't think about that.
But then this happens, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit longer. I just want to read. Sure. Maybe I'll stop in the middle of it.
That's important for people to get a full taste every now and then.
Okay, so they're flying. There's like the Superman thing. The music is playing. Da, 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 da. I now had both my arms around her waist, which was a mistake. We were riddled with numerous spikes. They entered through her stomach and into me, sticking out of my back. One even stuck in the center of my hands, holding them together. I was too weak to free them, and we plummeted to the ground. Our blood flowed from us as we fell like a continuous red ribbon about 10 feet in length. I saw two demons, female. They were the attackers, evidenced by their smile as they watched from afar. Only 2,000 feet now separated us from the ground, of which we fast approached. I watched as Hope died within my grasp.
Oh, no.
Her lungs collapsed. As her breath escaped her now colorless lips, I too would die just moments after. And this was one of the moments where I was thankful for death's sweet release. As I died, a small bit of her blood graced my tongue. It was sweet, then all was dark. I mean, in high school, did you write anything this dumb?
It would have been impossible. I would have feared the grade I would have received, or a visit to the counselor.
This is bananas.
My main question was, what are the other moments where he was thankful for death's sweet release? This was one of the moments where he was thankful for death's sweet release. I mean, I don't know. Watching Transformers 2 in the theater? Or
yes. Spikes? Demons known for their spikes that pin your hands together?
Maybe it's a female demon thing.
Oh, that is.
And you can tell
from afar.
Yeah, and he can tell they're female, evidenced by their smile. Male demons are much more serious.
So, from afar, they're sending spikes, and blood flowed like a continuous red ribbon about 10 feet in length. Okay, yep, I'm picturing that. And then where are they? They're like 2,000 feet now, separated us from the ground. Okay, ribbon is this long.
10 feet, 2,000 feet.
Speed
of sound.
How far are the demons from you? They're smiling from afar.
Afar.
And you can tell they're female because they're smiling.
Well, I think what he says immediately after that passage you finished reading will clear up everything.
Oh, okay, good. Whew.
Only sheer feet from the ground we entered Zoser. So, I mean...
Okay.
There you go. We stopped descending abruptly. Then were soon covered in the life-giving metallic shell. We soon fully emerged, fully armed, and suited for battle. I could tell from the women's expressions that they hadn't known of Zoser. So... this is... I mean, that makes three of us, I'm guessing, that they had known about her. But Zoser was mentioned. This is the third mention. Yeah. It said earlier, the end wasn't as it seemed. Zoser soon lifted me and granted me new life. So I was imagining Zoser like the little guy when you go off the track in Mario Kart and that little guy in the cloud like picks you up with a fishing rod and pulls you back on so you can keep racing. Like, I don't know what we're supposed to interpret this as. it's a state, or it's a omnipotent being or something.
Entered Zoser?
Yeah.
So it's a place.
I mean, Zoser lifted me earlier, though, and granted him new life.
Okay. And then
So, yeah.
I like this wording as well. I mentioned for Hope to draw her sword.
Hey, can you, can you...
Yeah, I mentioned
One of these?
that my keys were somewhere in the glove box. Could you? It doesn't matter. Whenever you get around to it, if you could just make sure they're in there, because we're driving up to my cousin's place. So I just wanted to mention that.
I mentioned that Carl from accounting's dog died this week, and he was just in a funk all week long. It was sorry to mention it. I don't want to bring the mood down.
Oh, Zoser.
And then once he mentions that Hope draws her sword, we went on both sides of the demons, and with one fell pass, decapitated them. Their blood came from their bodies in mass quantities, like a super volcano. It burst upward almost 3 feet into the air. So I can't tell if that's, impressive like a super volcano, or kind of weak for a super volcano. 3 feet
seems pretty weak. And after their blood had like a red ribbon for 10 feet,
right?
This just seems like kind of a cheat. I don't know.
Maybe if it's one of those volcanoes you make in second grade with baking soda and vinegar, that's always kind of crappy. It's like, well, this is super compared to one of those.
But it changed from purple, uppercase, so kind of princey in there. It changed from purple to that nice red as it fell. What does that mean?
Demon blood.
What is
changes
that
color
nice
as
red?
it oxidizes? Yeah.
Is this like the whole book has been about? That nice red we've been talking about. What do you not get about this?
Bring us a bottle of that nice red you got in the cellar. That one from Oregon. I think it was a Pinot.
Yeah, it's not the cheapest one on the menu. It's the second cheapest one. Could you get us that nice red?
The nice red just reminds me of how he described cream of wheat as, the never-ending mixture. That nice red.
There's another.
There is.
An
I'm glad you picked up on that. And so she's sort of upset about this. Her voice fell to the saddest tone I've ever heard, which I'd recommend saving that for when someone's actually dead. Like, they died, both immediately came back to life. So you sort of have to stop treating these matters like you would, before you had met him. Death is now no longer something to fear, I guess, because Zoser's there.
Zoser, we fell into Zoser.
But then he says, my shirt now was soaked from her constant crying. And then he goes, he lapses into advice columnist, like he's like a YouTube podcast bro. One of the reasons I think men get married is because their wives help to express what they cannot, whatever the reason. And I cannot say this enough, but young impressionable men out there, do not take your advice about why to get married or relationships in general from this book or this author. No. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. He does not have a handle on this kind of thing.
But before the crying, I'll just read it. Only the massive amounts of their blood found land. We now stood on land, just outside the forest where we entered only a few hours ago.
He's
land, then. Okay.
He's doing that in this section. He's using words back, in different sentences back to back.
Yes.
And it's impressive when he's able to spell them correctly when he uses them in back to back sentences.
Yes. When we get to angels coming up, that'll be fun too.
So I think they then go home and fall asleep after that. They're like, we killed some demons. We died. We've earned a nice rest.
Was this part of their fighting crime that they were going to do?
That's a good question. Yes.
Yeah.
It must be.
We have 2 months, so let's go fight some crime. So he says, I wanted to comfort her, so I took her in my arms once again, and we returned to Tetelaqua and our estate there through teleportation.
Okay.
I just want to remind everyone that they took a 4-hour ox cart ride before. And we're like, this is deeply uncomfortable. But after spikes bound them and blood shot everywhere, they landed in Zoser. He revived them, and then she cried so hard that she soaked his clothes to the bone. And then they teleported to Tetelaqua.
Yes, with their stone warp feather.
Stone.
Of which he has a case of. He can dole them out when he needs to. It's like I had a similar dream last night. I don't know why we're making such a big deal out of this. And so they fall asleep. They wake up, and she wakes up, believe it or not, still hungry. They split a deer yesterday, but they're not like snakes. They're not going to eat again for 6 months. And he says, "I'll make you anything you like." I paused. Well, granted it be of eggs, pork, and bread. And yes, correct. She laughed at this because she found that funny. And then she says this, which I thought was great. I mean, there's more food coming, more pork, which it's great to have it. Well, I think I will make whatever you make. I will be just fine. I think while you cook, I'm going to go and get a well-needed bath. All the crying made my face all bad feeling and dirty.
Well, I think it was this. Not now. I was worried you were still sad about the whole thing from yesterday. Do you remember that? Do you remember when our parents died?
Do you remember when we died yesterday? That whole thing, right? Yeah.
That whole. Remember when that guy he cut us off at that intersection, and then he flipped us off? That was weird, right?
There was some unpleasantness. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's probably still upsetting to you.
Spikes tore us limb from limb, and the demons. After we had eaten a deer's fur and blood. That whole thing. Maybe he was talking about their conversation about marriage. That could be. That whole. Remember. Are we past that whole thing? Are we?
Let's just pretend I didn't say anything about that. Remember our daughter from the future? No. Why am I going back into this? I'm opening up a whole thing. Let's just eat some bacon and pork and biscuits.
Yes, so he prepares eggs, bacon, and biscuits, which he emphasizes took about 20 minutes to prepare. And then he goes and sort of barges in on her, taking a bath or getting ready to tell her that breakfast is ready. And they have this whole little dance being like, stop, I hope you didn't see anything. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. So I hope your eyes were on my face and nowhere else. And he says, I assure you they were everywhere except your face. I sarcastically answered. So some Ellisian sarcasm is making its way into this too. Mm-hmm. And it's doing that little dance. It's on the edge of horniness, and it's
15.
Not 15 a good place for this to be. Yeah.
She slapped me on the leg as she turned to look at me. What are you doing in here, and why didn't I hear you? I guess you're thinking. No matter, really. It's just me. What? AI writing? Just taking over for a couple paragraphs?
It came over too long ago. It's impossible. I don't think AI would be this bad either. I
don't know.
It's,
What are you doing in here, and why didn't I hear you? I'm going to ask more people that.
Right. Why didn't I hear you? I thought I was a superhero with unfathomable abilities. Why didn't I?
I guess you're thinking. At least he had the correct "your" there.
Yeah.
The yours, he has trouble with the yours. A lot of people do.
Maybe the Martians developed their own AI, and so that's why it's just slightly off. It's like they think it's great because they don't really understand how we work. But
and then I have so many dumb sentences. Doesn't matter. I'm going to burn another one. Only her finger, along with a sly look, was all she pressed in reaction to my answer. Only her no punctuation. Only her finger, along with a sly look, was all she pressed in reaction to my answer.
So only one thing, but also two things. She's pressing a sly look. Doesn't say where she's. If you give her the benefit of the doubt, it doesn't say where she's pressing the finger.
No, the finger does not. We don't know where it's pressed. The sly look. I've never heard one being pressed, but whatever. Anyway, that's a dumb sentence.
It's not worth dwelling on because we have some action-packed sequences. They eat breakfast and then decide they need to go to the market again. They've been to the market to buy the flutes.
Pens,
had a
flutes.
Pig delivered. Yes, a quill pen. He says, I need to go to the market today. We are running low on a lot of things. Soap, food, and other things.
Those are the, you're going to tick them down. Like, honey, I'm going to Target. Well, what do we need? Look, I'm in my towel. I don't know. We need soap, food, other things.
Oh, a lot of things.
Figure it out.
Onions.
Johnny Longboat.
And then we went to the market shortly after talking, and then we returned to Eira's. So I'm glad we got to hear that they did that. It was important to cover vaguely what they were going to get, and then that they went and then returned to Ohio in the same sentence. Important.
By the way, what you just quoted there was all in quotes again.
Oh,
so
right.
Never closed quotes on that.
Okay.
So it's very odd to say, we went to the market. Like, why are you still talking? By the way, a little earlier, he just says to her, or maybe it's she to him, who knows, again, unattributed. Well then, Miel, what would you like I make anything?
Okay, yeah.
So that's honey. I just know it from French, but in Spanish, I think it's Miel as well.
Oh, is it? Nice.
I think so.
I
but
thought
that's
I might
just
have accidentally deleted some text or something.
Yeah, like out of nowhere, just saying that. They just haven't. I mean, what have they said? Donata and C.
Su esposo Randolfo as well.
Yes, okay. So, but
I
in
thought
the
it was
middle
like,
of a sentence, like just the foreign word for honey.
And he doesn't even, italicize it or anything.
No, okay. What a weirdo.
Well, they then go back to Ohio. I don't know if they stocked the pantry or whatever with the onions and soap that they bought.
Food and stuff. Yeah.
And then he finally does the meet the parents thing. He brings Hope home. He introduces her to her parents. And oh boy, I then proceeded to introduce them to her. She was pleased to have finally been introduced to them in kind. They felt the same about meeting her. Granted, they didn't know I even had a girlfriend because he's been staying at his friend's house, quote, for the entire school year.
Yeah,
Too bad.
15.
Yeah, exactly. Too bad they didn't know she was my wife. However, that can wait. You brought it up, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is his mom. I know I said you could date a Mexican, but I didn't think you actually would, my mom pointed out. Hope just laughed in response. Well, I warned you I was going to try my hardest to date or even possibly marry one, I reminded her.
One.
And yeah, I think that your response is appropriate. Everyone sort of collar tugs. No one knows what to say. And then everybody decided to walk outside and relax out there because the house was crowded and starting to get hot. So, I mean, in some parts of Ohio, there was lag. I guess in Chillicothe, they have no AC or whatever. And so everyone does like the room where, all right, everybody outside. And then everyone moves outside for some reason.
But, the Mexican thing was like, wait a minute. What is she wearing? Like, what?
Right.
Is she do? Is it like, if this were, did she bring home like Mickey Rooney as the Chinese housemate? Like
yeah, dressed as Frida Kahlo with a unibrow and
what? When I said you could date a Mexican, it's like, Grandpa, no. Like, yeah, right. Once I was with a bunch of guys, we got into a cab, and the guy he said something racist, and we're just like, just stop the cab and let us out. He's like, what? What's the big deal? We're like, the big deal is
hey!
So I'm walking you. Oh, I'm driving you. But we just had him we're like, I just don't want to. I was like, why did you have to say anything? If those are, but what is she, what? I always thought you'd date her. Mexican, like, I'm right here.
Yeah, and she's doling out permission. I need to hear more about like her rules. Like, all right, you can date a Mexican, singular, but
Also, didn't think you'd be so close at 15 because you said you were away at your friend's house, staying in his attic or whatever. So just kind of odd that you just show up at our house on Brat Day or whatever it is.
I think it's always Brat Day at this house, to be clear.
Yes.
It's yeah. So I don't know what Dad's whole. Dad sort of just looks over his paper and is like, oh boy, and at his mom going off again. But I don't know.
Right.
It sounds like something that your grandparents starts to say when they're starting to lose it a little bit. So.
Yeah. But then this is one of the weirdest exchanges in all of literature.
Okay.
Because it's unattributed, so I don't know. I'm just reading it as there's no said this, or it's no attribution. Hey, Kaileb, we are going to the store to buy some food for a small cookout. Do either of you want to come with us? No, that's all right. We will wait here. Just try not to take too long. I quickly said, comma, we then turned and began to walk further into the center of the yard. I feel like playing my flute some. Do you play? No, that's okay. I will just listen. Who is that? Who's talking? Who plays the flute? What is happening? Who's going to the store?
The Martian is giving their AI machine a whack, being like, come on.
You can do better than this.
Yeah, spit out something more realistic. Well, I believe that I have no idea who's going to the store. He's there with his parents. He has brothers and sisters, and their significant others are revealed to be there. I assume it's his parents going to the store for food. He plays the flute as he played with Mr. Som, the older guy who came and stayed with them.
Yes.
And then who he's talking to, I assume, is not Hope, because he knows she doesn't play the flute because she was there. But that's the only real way to interpret it, I think.
We began to walk further into the center of the yard.
That's a nice one.
That is like, what?
Yeah, there's a certain area of the yard that he's demarcating as the center. Like, I guess, technically it's like there could be multiple areas of the yard considered the center. But
hey, Mom and Dad, why do you continue to mark the center of the yard? Why is that important to you? It's a thing we do in Ohio. What are you going to say?
You want Italian sausage or do you want brats? I'll buy both. We do a lot of meat cooking in this house.
Go play your flute.
So he plays the flute, and he says it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But then she turned to meet his gaze. It has to be Hope, because she says this. This reminds me of when you and Som played flutes at the estate, she whispered lightly against my ear. So he plays the flute, and the brilliant woman that he's married to in a warrior sense, that reminds her of a time he played the flute. So that's...
And then his response, once again, whack that AI machine. I suppose you like it, I said aloud. I do like it, yes.
Staring straight ahead. Oh, God, got to find a better guy. She's still shell-shocked from his mom's introduction.
Oh, God. Remember when we died? Now we're in Chillicothe, standing in the
Playing
center
the
of a
flute?
yard playing flute.
Life is either the most exciting thing possible or the dullest. There is no middle ground for this guy.
Nope, we're just doing a grill out. Your parents didn't even buy the brats?
Right.
They haven't been marinating them in beer and onions? Losers.
And then she announces to his siblings that they're married. And his sister's reaction was that of speechlessness for a good while. And then finally a word. I'll Google it right now. Is speechlessness? I guess it's a word in the Cambridge Dictionary.
Is it?
I thought that was going to be a pure invention. So that's on me.
Speechlessness. I don't know. I'm calling bullshit on that one.
And they say, how long have you been married? They say, since the beginning of summer. And then his eldest brother, whoa, your married man mom is going to freak, stated my eldest brother. Man mom. She is man mom.
Clam Woman. Meet man mom. Whoa, you're married is also whoa. So I'm trying to, I'm going to give you that as a Sonic challenge.
It ends in a period, too, and
Stated,
he states it.
So it's the eldest brother. Whoa, you're married. Man mom is going to freak. Go ahead.
Whoa, you're married. Man mom is going to freak. That's
I guess you did state it.
Yes.
Whoa, you're married. Man mom is going to freak.
I state this for the record.
Let it be known and said from here on out.
Yes. We will tolerate man mom's aggression no further. Man mom's base on the top of Mount Clam will not be tolerated.
Oh.
We do.
Okay.
All right. So comic book covers of Clam Woman and Clam
Woman and Man Mom.
And Man Mom. Yeah, they team up in their superhero annual.
So then this is in quotes, so I'm very confused. We walked only a few feet around the house, not draw unwanted attention. That's in quotes. And then they transform into eagles.
Yes, after wiping their memory, so that they don't remember telling about their memory.
Oh, yeah. What does he say? He says some words.
He
no,
says,
maybe that's later when he wipes.
You're UIR,
okay.
comma,
Yeah, there it is. What in the
You're
hell
they.
is that?
Titiliquan language? I don't know. They
But
later
it's out of
name
nowhere, right?
Yes.
And since he misspells everything, why in God's name would you think that he meant to do this?
Yeah, because it looks like your cat sat on your keyboard.
I cleared their memory of her ever telling. Why did she tell them about the marriage? Didn't that happen before when he said to someone else, like, oh, yeah, his brother.
His brother in the restaurant where they signed the letter from Rodolfo.
We're married. And then it's like, wait, what? You're married? Like,
just
it's
kidding.
I'm kidding. It's a
Spanish class assignment.
Yeah. Oh. Woo. I think I got away with. Stop telling people you're married if you don't want them to think you're married. What are you wiping their memories for? Does that heat up their brain and they lose their? Man, I used to be able to play piano. I can't anymore. Did you to me?
Do you taste like tin when you're swallowing?
I smell burnt toast. What's going on?
But it's like the Men in Black device, I guess.
I guess.
So imagine this. I don't know if he's the youngest or what. All his siblings are dating and stuff, so I feel like they're older. But if your younger brother is the kind of guy who's sort of performatively playing the flute, he's slicking back his hair, he disappears and he comes home holding hands with a girl and says they're married, you're like, okay, man. All right.
Yeah.
Just whatever gets you to stop playing the flute and wearing a fedora and doing all this crap. You're the most annoying. I'm so embarrassed.
Mom, Dad, I'm heading back to the dorm. I'm not.
Yeah, right.
When I come home and then he's here.
Yes, yeah.
Plus, he brought a Mexican, so.
You said you were going to have a talk about wearing deodorant? Yeah, oh boy. It's awful kid. But
fine, I will wait. Okay, this is where I'm so confused. Fine, I will wait. It was good, though, to tell someone, even if only for a few moments. These are all now new quotes. We walked only a few feet around the house, not to draw. We transformed into eagles and took to the skies, staying high enough as to appear smaller than we were. What does that mean? That's in quotes. Someone saying that to someone else.
Correct. He is heavy with the open quotes in this sentence. But he started a sentence with a comma earlier, so it's all bets are off.
Okay.
And then we get a trademark Varney perspective shift, which, there's nothing given to such this, but it becomes, this is the only one in the book that I have no idea who's talking. Because
I have a theory.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be the mom, right?
Okay.
Who suddenly takes over the narrative, right?
Well, we get a couple named characters. They take over the narrative, and the characters named are Mindy, her boyfriend, who's not named, Tristan, and his wife. Tristan spelled with a Y.
Tristan with a Y.
And then Kevin.
Kevin.
Who is annoying because he plays the guitar.
I was thinking those were the sons?
Those are they're
like brothers-in-law.
He has mentioned multiple sisters, I think, because they had problems with their thing. So yeah, there's Kevin, Mindy, and Tristan. I assume are siblings. There's boyfriends. There's wives.
Boyfriend Tristan and his wife.
Unless he's one of those kids who refers to his parents by the first name. Don't get me started.
Okay, Kevin plays guitar. All right, string board. Here we go.
Sure, right. But who's talking?
Oh no, because Dad disappeared. That's maybe why I was.
Dad ran to the store to get brats.
Yes, went to the back door with a bag of charcoal and began to light the grill.
Yes, and I'm sorry, but it says I was greeted by the return of Mom and Dad, so they went off to the store together.
Oh,
so whoever's talking here is.
Okay. So this is a sister.
Must be.
Not the mom.
Right. And, what is said is of no consequence. It's sort of like, Kevin, do you know this guy? Like, you go to school with him, don't you? And he's like, hey, leave me out of this.
So they went to the store, and this is what this was the mission. The fridge went from meagerly full to overflowing with foods for other dinners. Let's count them down. What food? What's food for? For other dinners, snacks, breakfast, and some sweet stuff.
Food for sweet stuff. The never-ending mixture.
It's that reminded me of my favorite thing when you like buy crackers or something and we got to put something on the back. So they'll be like, ticking down a list. It'll be enjoy snack time at the park, playing, put peanut butter on. Oh, thank you for telling me how to eat my crackers.
Shove some in your pocket and take it to a funeral.
Throw some at your aunt. I don't know. Look, it's your crackers, but it just cracks me up that they have to put something on it.
Serving suggestions. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's insane stuff like Triscuit crackers that like, you've put cream cheese and then like a blackberry on and then a sprig of mint. That's like, you put that out at a party. Utter madness.
So that's what they bought the food for was
dinners,
what was it?
snacks, breakfast, and some sweet
stuff. Okay, so perspective. Oh wait, my daughter JC was running around and playing with her uncle Tristan.
Okay, so
what is who is this? I don't care. I'm sorry. It was maddening.
Yeah, but so I think it's now back to Kaileb. Oh no, because it's still my daughter JC. You're correct.
Yeah,
I don't know who it could be. It's one of the sisters who has trouble with her in her relationship. But
Kat is there as well. This is getting to be like the quilters.
Yeah,
JC and Tristan and Kat and Kaileb and Kenny and what is that?
Kevin. Yeah, Kevin plays the guitar.
Kevin the guitar.
Kevin
plays guitar.
He describes the act of barbecuing in a way that I think is the most, so uncanny valley, but describing the most mundane stuff possible. Yeah. He took the spatula from its place on the edge of the grill and gently lifted each burger onto the grill. When he finished, only 2 of the uncooked burgers remained on the plate. That sure is a lot of food. That is what you think I know how you guys eat when I cook something you all like. It goes fast. I smiled at the obvious. I now retreated inside. The air conditioning ran, but was all useless. All but useless with both doors wide open to ease the flow of traffic. So people are just coming in and out like, like a Benny Hill is happening in and out here. I guess daughter JC is running around. Tristan's chasing her. Insane.
Who's Kat? Do you know who Kat is?
No.
And I think this was him asked. Kat
with 2 T's, like Cat Williams.
Yeah, Katt. Is dinner done yet? I hoped the casual question would offset her suspicions. So there's a person named Kat who's been very suspicious.
Yeah, she's flashing a Cheshire grin at them. Maybe that's Mom.
Okay.
Oh, Kat, is dinner done yet? Almost. Dad just has. Maybe it must not be if they say Dad has to finish the brats.
Oh, by the way, he was hungry.
You don't say.
Yes. Oh, that's when he inserted the burger and it was no more.
Oh.
Surely everyone sent that in.
Lots of people. 3 different people flagged it. I think Janelle said, I can only hope it was his mouth, is what she commented with that. That would really require a memory wipe and the uretithe.
Yeah. Kat is just staring like, what just?
Burger insertion. Well, so all this mundane stuff, I have to do this. I was wondering what this would look like if this was, made into a movie, like we said before, if Spielberg was to adapt something like this. And this is actually something I thought of weeks ago, but these episodes kept running long, and I didn't have the opportunity to tell you that I went and looked up if there had been sort of people doing a Be Kind Rewind scenario, filming this themselves.
Oh, yeah.
On the internet. And there's not on the internet, but there is a lot on the dark web.
Oh, you went to the...
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while.
I got a good connection to it out in San Diego. Very little lag out there.
No lag.
It was the room acoustics for recording terrible. Lag non-existent.
Very nice. Very nice. My VPN is down, so I haven't been to the dark web in a while. I apologize.
Wow. Yeah. You gotta get on that. That's lots of listen to a podcast. You'll get 7 different VPN ads. So I think that's you could find probably a trial for one or something.
Right. What
like
do I
that.
use? The Onion, the Tor browser. What do I do? I don't know.
Yes,
we'll talk about it.
It's
later.
been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, people did so many of these things that they, someone made a trailer combining their favorite moments from the various videoed reenactments of Kaileb's dream, and it was
nice.
It's Madam Web was a big flop, but people are still really into like Marvel movies. So a lot of people are like, what if Kaileb's dream was like a Marvel movie? And so they did that. A lot of people did that. So this is a trailer combining sort of those moments of the Marvel movie version of Kaileb's dream as a trailer found on the dark web.
The MCU is big now, I understand.
Sure.
Aside from Madam's Web, as you pointed out, but
very popular now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we have it? Do you have?
Yeah.
it
Let's
or are you just mentioning that? And
yeah.
go on?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Let's take a listen. Let's take a listen.
In a world where things are thus of which not as, they seem. We need you there to tailor compounds to our particular requirements.
Which are?
Great depth.
A dream within a dream? 2 levels?
3. And the third dream is Kaileb's.
Nope. I am noping the F out of this one.
Now remember, when you meet her parents, you're not Fireball. No Eternal Council member stuff, none of that. You're just my dad. Not Fireball. Dad. Okay?
Got it, Master Whitebow. Hello, I'm Hope's mom. Hey, name's Fireball. Pleased to meet you.
Oh, come on.
I am the Nope of Greenwich Village. I am washing myself with soap on a nope. He can talk with an ever-present mass of pork in my mouth now.
He can talk with an ever-present mass of pork in my mouth now.
Call Pawnee Parks and Rec and ask to speak to Leslie Nope.
No, Hate Slayer. He is a demon. He belongs in the hellish realm. He's worse than Manchi. He's right behind me, isn't he?
So, where'd you go on your first date? Someplace romantic? Oh, maybe Italian? Yeah, candlelit, white tablecloth?
We got the salad bar at a little buffet-type place.
Oh, bro! Party foul!
I'm bored. All we've done all night is watch your little top spin around the entire time.
Well, me and Iris could play the flute.
The top is good. Top good with everyone? Yeah, top is good. This summer, it's Kaileb's dream as inception as a Marvel movie. Or something. I don't know. Only available on the dark web.
Sandra Bullock and Harry Connick Jr. starring in Nope Floats.
I understood that reference. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, sort of Inception-y, sort of Marvel-y, but great acting, I think, is my main takeaway.
Oh,
yes.
That was easily my takeaway.
They put a lot into it. They should really put it on the real web. It's weird.
Yeah, there's no reason to bury it on the dark
it's not
web.
illegal. It's not, there's
Right.
more shameful thing being posted every day to the real web. So
Right. Yeah.
Odd. While we're stopped,
Yeah.
do you want to
Are
do
we
real
stopped?
or fanfic? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do
there's
that.
a lot to go in this, but we should probably
because
see how to get to it.
I'm batting sub 500, so let's just keep that streak going.
They're going to send you down to double A, the Round Rock or something like that. But we have a new song too. We'll put in a new.
Yes. That's
Oh
right.
wait, I'm sorry. No, we don't. We have a dumb sentence song. Strike that.
All right.
normal old
Strucken.
fanfic song.
Stricken. Yes, that's right. The dumb sentence is the new one. Okay.
Fanfic. Real fanfic.
So this is Real or Fanfic, the segment of our podcast where you, Mike, will try to guess which of these 5 passages are either from later in the book Kaileb's Dream, and there is about 38,000 words remaining, stunningly, or fanfic written by our beloved listeners, most of them on Patreon at patreon.com/372pages, where you can get every episode a week early. Last week, when we were back from vacation, I did a AMA and answered all the burning questions people had. People want you to do one now, so
yeah,
we'll see what will happen. But the fanfic has not been going good this time around. We'll see if maybe you can redeem yourself. You've had another chapter to get a feel of this, to learn, to adapt.
This must be a feast for people. They must be absolutely delighted as they write, because you could you could literally do anything, and I'd be like, I don't know. Yeah, that sounds good. Sure.
Yeah, and
it must be delightful when they just dangle that in front of me and I take the bait.
And people for Ernest Cline, they were like, oh, I'll just make a reference to the facts of life or whatever. But even him would dole it out at times. So this guy just throws into stuff. It can happen anytime. You could have a thus at any given time. You could have people eating breakfast. And you would not say, there's been so many breakfasts already, there can't possibly be more. You're like, of course there's more breakfasts. That's what he does.
Yeah, if someone could say, just off the top of my head, we stopped at a booth and we bought a box of mice and we ate them one by one, savoring each mouse. And I'd go, yeah, I think so.
Did you read ahead?
That sounds like something you do. Right. And then laugh at me. Then a demon
attacked us.
When I said, yes, that's real, it's unfair is what I'm saying.
But we'll see how it happens. Let's do it. Here is number 1. In one swing, I sliced the pod's flesh, carving through what feel like muscle, human, and bone. Mistress White Eagle fell from the wound, but I caught her. But Hope, she did not look like cloths rip and tatters handing bloody skin. And worst, no hair. Her skull shined like plasma battlesuit. But while she human, I am loathing this so much I almost drop her. Ugly as demons, make all to Teal'ca ugly, but never birth thought. That even Slayer make Hope ugly. I repress my disgust. Hope, are you all right? Hope blinks when the dark Latin eyes shine. To my soul I know she alive. No demon to spoil that. You know, senor, you know how to swoon a woman. Thus swelled my heart with affection and gentleness, despite Hope's hideousness.
I mean, I can't say that that's real. I have to say that that's fanfic.
Okay. Number 2. Stephen, I think I may have a solution to your problem if you will come with me. I turned rather quickly to the direction of the voice to look upon the man's face. Who are you? And what do you mean Stephen may have a solution? My name is Leorum. I am a Nanayan archer from our land. I have been sent here to retrieve you, if possible, and return to Stephen. Well, now, there is something, isn't there? I tell you what. If I am called there, I shall go freely. Shall we go directly, then? If you wish, we shall. He held up that white feather, and thus, with all but a small chant, teleported us out of the second world and into the third. It was quick, and when we entered the land, we stood at the base of a grand castle. Not that of the kings of old, but of the newest king, King Stephen II, Stephen's son.
Oh, a castle. I bet that place makes good biscuits. That castle. Pork is probably...
A lot of room for soap in its shelves.
Yeah, ever present. I got to say fanfic.
Okay. Number 3. Monchi was chained to the wall. It was freezing in the refrigerated cellar, but it had to be otherwise. Monchi could not be chained to the wall. Hope, what has he told us? I questioned. Nothing yet, but he is weakening. That is good. Monchi, how are you finding our hospitality? Monchi's eye widened as he screamed. Master Whitebow, you can do nothing to make me talk. Soon Slayer will fight you, and when he wins, the White Blades Council will be forced to set me free due to our war document, which you signed. Don't forget that, Master Whitebow. Monchi was angry. Master Whitebow, he has not talked despite my methods, said Lewis. He was holding a mace in one hand and an axe in the other, and they were well-used evidence by Monchi's body.
Can I get a point of clarification, please?
Yes.
Spelling of do to?
D-O-T-O, our war document.
Doto?
Well, sorry. D-O space 2, our war document.
Do,
so it's not.
D-O.
It is not spelled correctly, yes.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. One more thing.
I'll take the bait. That's real.
Wow. All right. Number 4. Day broke, sending a blinding ray of sunlight across my face, thus waking me. I sat up, looking out the window. It was about 7, and she hadn't woken up, so I decided to summon a book. Thus, I was also pleased to see that all my powers worked again. The book was well written, and I liked that it was set in medieval times. That was my favorite. I read almost 2 chapters equaling 30 pages. I stopped as to save the book for later, and after setting it on the bed at Hope's feet, I went and purchased some coffee. It wasn't the world's best coffee, but it was good in its strength. I, after purchasing the coffee, sat now again looking out the window at the sun-filled sky.
All right. I mean, it can't be real. Fanfic.
Number 5, last one. I, too, went to bed and then woke early that morning. It was early as to not have light. It was 5 in the morning, and I decided to make some coffee. As it was finished, I took a cup from the handmade cabinet and poured some of the strong coffee into its confines. Following were 2 scoops of sugar and a tad bit of cold milk. I took this and stirred it, allowing the flavors and cool milk to create a blissful drink, of which would soon grace my lips, as it has for so many days before this. I sat only then to feel her soft touch against my side.
Okay. I mean, fanfic.
Oh, coffee time.
Wow.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Number 1. This was the one, slice the Plodd's flesh, bloody skin, Slayer makes Hope ugly. I loved her. My heart swelled despite her hideousness. Incoherent. You said fanfic. That was correct. That was fanfic by R. Perot 99. I think they overdid it a bit.
Man, just a little. I mean, he's run into some trouble here with the language.
Number 2, this was they venture to the castle of the newest king, King Stephen II, Stephen's son. You said fanfic. That was real. Submitted by Hayden. I think that Stephen comes up later. He's the guy that wrote a biography of Lewis. So that's 1 for 2. That was by Hayden. I don't know if I said that.
Yes.
Number 3, Monchi was chained to the wall. Lewis has been working him over with an axe and a mace. You said real. That was fanfic written by Michael. One for 3. Number 4, he summons a book. He reads 2 chapters of it. Then he gets not the world's best coffee. You said fanfic. That is real.
Oh, come on.
Submitted by Craig. That's 1 for 4. And then number 5.
This is a bloodbath. Speaking of bloodbath.
Yeah, really. Your blood is shooting up 10 feet in a ribbon, like a super volcano. And number 5 was preparing a blissful drink. He pours strong coffee into a cup's confines. You said fanfic. That is also real from later in the book, submitted by Alejandro. 1 for 5. 2 coffee-related ones that are real later in the book.
Can anyone convict me? Can anyone? Come on.
And I think the one you got was probably the easiest one, too. So, man, we'll have to... I thought you were... An offer could have been potential, but...
Have I ever had an offer?
I don't know.
I expect it in this one.
Sure.
We'll have one more reel of fanfic, right?
Yeah, probably. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I don't feel bad.
I don't think you should.
I own it proudly. I don't care. Put anyone in this situation. Maybe we'll have you do it next time.
Sure. I mean, I'll do it. Why not? Send your fanfic in next time as attachments so that I can just forward them on to Mike and he can prepare realer fanfic. It's been a long time.
All right.
So where did we leave off? They are eating dinner. We left off when he inserted a burger.
He inserted the burger. Then this is nice passive language. I received news from the council regarding the presence of demons, period. Who of which
nice
were going to recruit men into their ranks. So that's the news. Like, how did he receive the news?
Oh, okay. He just wakes up and says...
Yeah, paper on the doorstep, like...
Yeah.
Here, get some of that coffee in the confines of my mug. Wait a minute. Council.
And I don't want to like gloss over. There was one sentence in between the burger insertion and receiving this news.
That is true. That is true. Then we get this. The White Eagle, I whispered, wake up, there is trouble in town, demonic trouble. Slayer's recruiters, so she's just like, hang on, what? Slayer's recruiters are attempting to recruit men into the ranks by overshadowing them. Mm-hmm. Her face expressed tiredness, and her tone wasn't much different. And then here we go. Demons. Oh, man. All right. Her voice groggy and low, she stood and with a thought donned her suit. What? Is this like working girl 80s suit? Like she's
9 to 5?
Wake up, putting her little tie on and like,
pours
what is her
herself
suit?
Not the world's best ambition, but it fills the confines of the cup.
It fills, yes.
Her suit, I have to...
Does she also have a... What does he have? He has a
tactical suit of armor or something? Like
he has like a flying suit?
Right.
But he doesn't need to use it. It's just once he mentioned it. But
once
then
you mentioned he didn't have it on or something.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, you read it, but I thought it was like a Sam Elliott, like, demons, oh, man, all right. Like,
demons.
Gonna get there.
Oh, man. All right. So they're not in the same bed, right?
I don't think so. They have separate bedrooms. It's later. Yeah,
so that's a big house in Chillicothe or whatever.
Right. I can't imagine. His parents are extremely lax in terms of it disappearing an entire school year, but they draw the line at letting him sleep with the Mexican, I think.
So he wakes her up and she's like, what demons? And then like
Cat is in the room being like, keep it down. I'm trying to sleep here. God.
There's guitar in would you shut that guitar up over there, Kevin? Damn it.
They turn into Nryphons, which they can also do, and take to the sky. Our super sharp claws remain sheathed as to avoid detection from local law enforcement.
Local law enforcement is now your...
So guys are eating donuts, looking at a...
Ange, I saw them flying. I saw claws. Now, Barn, you did not see claws. I saw claws. I saw claws.
Yeah. They see the Nryphon is revealed to be a panther with eagle wings. And as long as local law enforcement sees it flying across the sky, but the claws are sheathed, they're just like, that's some nice flying there. Like,
there you go, buddy. You have a nice day now.
And I also enjoyed that they said there was going to be trouble in town. It's like the Thin Lizzy jailbreak. They're not sure where it's going to happen. This is just
where will the jailbreak be tonight?
Somewhere in town.
Somewhere in town.
Yeah. All right, Kat, you hit up the convenience mart. Kevin, you check out Guitar Center. I'll go to the jail. That's probably where it's going to be. The demons they've sort of gone to a guy's house, and he's like out on the porch being like, oh, you took your time. The demons are in there. They tried to take over my wife's body.
Right.
And they go in there.
Weird. They
give us a little peek into how things sort of work here. It says she was still alive, but barely. If they wanted to recruit her, then she needed to be dead. So they slowly killed her. Upon death, a brief second is the only window for a demon to capture the soul of the once living host. After that, it's impossible to capture, and the endeavor was a waste. So that's how it works. And you read earlier that the demons are going to overshadow people. And that is a term he keeps using. He says, like, that man is too overshadowed. The demon overshadowed his wife. So that's like a technique they're using, even though they never really describe it.
Okay, and it says, if they manage to gain the soul, they are extremely weakened, and even a human could then kill them.
Okay.
What?
So it's
so
like
he goes into a house, and there's two people. They're just people, right? These are not members of the council or anything?
Yeah, it's just a woman on the couch motionless because the demon is trying to possess her.
Okay, so then he talks to the demon.
Yep.
And the demon is like, Master, you will never have this girl now. It's too late. I was like, girl? I was thinking she was...
Sure, yeah. Hair curlers and house dress.
Yes. Oh, goodness. And, a cup of still steaming tea right next. Constant comment.
She dropped her yogurt spoon mid-lick, I think.
Yeah. My hand burst into only white flames, comma, they broke the woman's skin without damage, comma, but now entered the demon. I could tell that I had made contact. His screaming was higher than I have ever encountered.
Okay.
This was only my second demon separation.
Well, it doesn't really
so this
carry a lot of weight then. It's
the first was myself, so I don't really remember what it was like. Your entire argument just like collapsed.
So, yeah, it's only the second one, but the screaming was higher than I encountered, so he's screaming like Bugs Bunny. That's good to know that demons do that. But it is only his second one, so the highness is relative.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean,
A little outage. Two guys like with a shovel outside my house just cut my internet cable, and then they went whoops, and then they stuck it back together. And it took them a second to get the electrical tape to go like, and then bite that off and tape the internet back up. So now the internet's back. Sorry about that.
Waved a 20 out the window. You're like, I really tanked on Real or FanFic. I need you to end this one quick.
Hey guys, do me a solid, man. So no, we're back. We're talking about this demon screaming.
Demon screaming, but they overshadowing, and they pretty much said, listen, the process is simple.
Yes.
Look, man, like all you have to do, you must enter the state of angels. Every angle is able to enter this state. Which might have been a realer fanfic, but it's an incredible use of a word misspelled with one word in between it as it's repeated. It's like nailing a floor exercise.
You couldn't keep it going for that long, man, huh? You spelled it right once. You also put quotes around it, like this is a process. This is a very serious...
The state of angels? Yeah.
You must enter. Listen.
Yeah. You've just started tossing overshadowing at us, and now you're giving us the state of angels. Or angles.
I do this to Bridget, where I'll bring up songs from like the 80s or 90s and complain about the lyrics. She's like, yeah, now's the time, Mike, to put the Prince song, dig, if you will, a picture. And I was doing that to her, like, if you will. And she's like, okay, I will. Are you digging it? It's you and I engaged. So
dig,
anyway,
thus of which a picture.
Yes. Listen, dig if you will, the process is simple, angles. Every angle is able to enter this state, granted, they must fight.
Well, sure, you're right. You enter the state of angles, every angle must fight. And you enter it into automatically when you're angered beyond the point of sanity. And my picture of that was George Brett running out of the dugout during the Pine Tar incident. That's
of course.
When you get that furious, that's when you're really working up to the state of angles.
Was Jimmy Connor celebrating? Is that also a state of angles?
Pelvic thrusting in angle, in anger, in angle. Damn it! Damn you, Kaileb! But fortunately, the demon's whole broken life soon completely returned to the woman and her husband. White Eagle warped back to the house, and the couple is reunited with each other, free of the presence of demons. So that's piece of cake.
Okay, so she comes, right? I'm so at this point. I got to admit, I was kind of doing the cartoon head shake at reading his stuff.
They saved one woman from being possessed by a demon, and they thanked them and said, like, "Oh wow, is that it for tonight?" And it says, "No, not likely. We should prepare for an encounter with one or more demons tonight."
Okay, so we now just walked down the sidewalks and waited for another attack or something out of the ordinarily to occur. Help! Cried a voice in the distance after about 10 minutes of walking. What is that? Unattributed. Well, don't know, but we should make sure it is. Go and make sure it isn't demons. This is where I was just like, just stop. I can't read anymore.
Well, but like,
what is happening?
Say like when Batman was just getting started, before everyone sort of knew he was the guy that would fight crime in Gotham. He didn't have a bat signal. He'd probably just have to go and like walk around the streets for 10 minutes or so before he found some crime to bust
crime.
up. Yeah. So
help!
This is
cried a voice in the distance.
And sure enough, it says they were attacking a young boy of about 10 or 11. So 4 years younger than you.
Right.
Specified as a young boy. And here we get
This is unbelievable.
Just an amazing. Anyway, I cast the demons aside with a wave of my hand, and White Eagle took him into her arms and brought him to me. Lewis, I presume? Knowing it was. So this is the entrance of Lewis, who the rest of the chapter is all about. And it says, I know of your exploits. Exploits? What do you mean? Concerning the knight and the king. You were the messenger who took it to him when the knight could not, yes? Yes. How did you come to know of this? I read a biography about you, written by one Stephen. So...
Yes, I and Stephen have been friends. You have to go like, yeah, I hate to be that grammar guy, but it's not. It's me and Stephen in this case. Yeah.
But he's reading biographies of 11-year-olds. Like you'd go to the Scholastic Book Fair and be like, oh, I'll get this 40-page biography of Jonathan Taylor Thomas or something.
Well, we know he's quite a writer. I just didn't know he was such a reader. That was what sort of shocked me. Like, he's one of those guys with like a bunch of books on his end table.
Oh, very conspicuously placed on the end table. This guy next to his flute.
But wait, you missed, I think, the demon. Oh, is the demon coming? The next demon?
Yes, there's another demon that comes once.
Well, then I'll wait because that's got a good introduction to it.
But so he says that Lewis was the messenger who took something to the king when the knight couldn't. And I went back trying to do diligence here. There's been a messenger named, but her name was Selena. Messenger, the word has come up a couple times because you'll remember there was a chapter also called The Messenger, not The Messenger of the King.
Yes.
No idea where Lewis came into this picture, if he's been here before. And it's Lewis, and hours after I finished reading this section, like relaxing in the evening, it hit me that this guy has mentioned C.S. Lewis a couple times, and so this is a tribute to him. And I was, that was an extended version of that disgusted groan was my reaction as well.
It's my favorite moment in, what's the Ed Wood movie where he's trying to pitch one of his movies in an office and there's just some drone behind the desk and he's like, it's this movie called Dr. Acula. And the guy goes, what is, oh. Like, just he takes him like a half a second, and then his reaction is perfect. Like, that's my Lewis. Oh, what is Lewis? Oh, okay.
So I think that's what's happening here. But he says, I'm going to give you a Nryphon, and that's where they're introduced as panthers and eagles combined. And he says, good, White Eagle, see to it that this is done for our dear friend Lewis. 12 sentences after I think they've met him, so they're fast friends.
But this is he said help, right? Lewis said that.
Yes,
help in the distance after 10 minutes of walking.
Yes, then the demon was attacking the young boy, and that's who he cast aside.
He cast him with a wave of his hand. Okay,
yes, but
so that was over.
Yeah, he cast the demon aside. He doesn't kill it and rip off its head with a super volcano like before. So as you'd expect, the demon has just been hanging out as they've had this discussion.
And then we get to this.
Yeah.
The demon I cast aside earlier tackled me to the ground and then pinned me to the sidewalk.
You were doing the pinky tap there?
Yes.
Yeah, you get
fermented in the bottle. Yes.
AHHH, 2 exclamation marks is the sound of the demon either doing the tackling or being tackled.
Do you think I looked at that for as long as I had, which was maybe 35 seconds? Is he trying to say like
Gog,
probably
not that.
Norm Macdonald trying to act.
Duh!
I don't like that thing there. Yeah, so I think it's supposed to be him being attacked by the demon.
Yes, and because what follows next would lend that as as being true. Because we get if you're a lot of people are not a fan of our narrator, I think, and so this was probably your favorite part of the book so far. He lies there, and then I guess a demon's buddy shows up too, and they start to torture him, which he initially describes as punching me numerous times. But then I watched as the first accomplice took up a mace. Then as he began to use it on me, pain rushed through my body. Blood began to cover the mace with each impact. So they're just wailing on him. My jaw was now shattered. A hard thud echoed as my head met the concrete. They broke my legs as well as most of my skull.
Which part was still left? What was most of my skull? Which part is this? Well, his jaw is separate from his skull, I guess, because his jaw was shattered.
But like, are you really going to be parsing that as like, most
as
of it's
the mace
shattered?
Is like
there
covering with? I don't know.
Is there a 3-inch part? You're like, you consider that intact? I don't know. I couldn't see due to the massive amount of blood which covered my eyes. Breathing was also difficult. So,
but this is after he said, "I heard metal as they swung it around in the air."
Wow.
Which I assumed was like, Wayne and Garth or something. Like, I heard metal. And then, unattributed, I wonder how he will like steel.
Demons are quipping.
I assume they were referencing Remington Steele, the TV show from the 1980s. I wonder how he will like steel. And then they just showed him like a full season.
How about Ironsides?
No.
The Snoop Sisters. This is torture.
The Sunday Night Mystery Movie. Yeah, he really gets worked over by these demons.
It would really
Which
make
demons,
more of an
I
impact.
thought they inhabited you, and then they had 1 second after they killed you to possess you, and if they didn't, they could be killed by a human. But here, they're just like working them over.
Yeah. Like the Office Space copy machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So I didn't know that they could do that. Hopefully local law enforcement is around somewhere.
Right, yeah. Hopefully the demons have stowed their claws. But the whole scene would have a much bigger impact if he hadn't, died previously in the chapter,
yes,
and it not been a big deal. And this obviously is, well, I'll get right to it. I used my arms to pull myself as best as I could to view his face. I was now weak and lightheaded. I screamed in agony as I was lifted off the ground. He now slammed me back to the surface, where I then died.
Yes. But this is after, though, by the way, I managed to free myself somewhat and tried to regain some composure. Sir, you have me at a disadvantage. My jaw is shattered, my skull is broken except for a very small spot of it, but I shall not let this trouble me. Good day to you, sir.
Or like when you're walking along and catch a little slightly uneven piece of the sidewalk and do a little stumble, and then you try to like do a little like
meant to do that.
Jog a few steps to regain your composure.
Didn't hurt me at all.
But then the demon's response to him being killed, straight out of Over the Top, he just says, "Damn you." And unfortunately does not follow up with his reply of "Damn you."
No. Damn you. Oh, I never saw that coming.
Nah, that's why he's the master.
Oh, he's so good.
So then he dies, or maybe Lewis dies. Someone dies, but they're determined to protect Lewis's life. He becomes integral to the story.
Does it do another shift here, or am I just confused? It says, "Okay,
it does. Yeah,
I now burst into flames of solid white." Uppercase, just as White Bow had told me. What?
Yeah, it becomes Hope is narrating now.
There's no way the line had been crossed. I tossed the demon's accomplices like nothing into a nearby wall, and they fell unconscious. I then proceeded to attack the leader. This is her?
Yeah, she was watching them.
When does it shift to her?
When he dies, I think. He dies. It says the back-to-back lines are, "Where I then died, White Bow. No, I jumped into the air knowing Lewis's life was about to end. Hope."
Oh, that's her. I
like
thought,
that
because he died before, so it's like, well, no big deal.
In this chapter, yes.
He died a couple paragraphs ago. So I was like, okay, where I then died. Well, dying is, it's like you say, it's like tripping over the sidewalk. Oh, okay, no biggie. No, I jumped into the air. Okay.
Losing your car keys.
You died and jumped up. No big deal. But it's her. How was I supposed to know it's her?
Eventually they refer to a character who you think was speaking And that character mentions them, and you realize that that is not the character that is speaking.
Damn it.
No.
That is one
damn
of the
it.
that is one of the most infuriating writing techniques I have ever read.
Yeah, you could call this writing, I guess, if you were being generous. But then it says, we get some more like ultraviolence. My teeth now protruded into view, with which I ripped a chunk of his face away. I then proceeded to gut him, allowing his entrails to hang as they were. The sweet sound of blood leaving him as it hit the ground below. I now took away his ability to move at all. With one fell swipe, paralyzed him. My claws hit his spine, and he fell to the ground. His entrails lay by his head. So,
those famous fell swipes that are so popular with the kids these days. But what does this mean? This is all one sentence, by the way. With which I ripped a chunk of his face away, period. I then proceeded to gut him, allowing his entrails to hang as they were. What does that mean? As they were when? When you gutted him and then his entrails hung? Just like, all right, just keep them right there, just as they were.
As you were.
Don't move, don't move. I don't know what that means.
And then she adds insult to injury by paralyzing him. I don't know that he had that much longer for this world, but
my claws hit his spine. Claws, local law enforcement. These are the things they notice. I'm telling you, Ange, claws.
Yeah, someone's inside being like, there's some ultra violence going on outside my window. Someone just gutted and paralyzed someone. Did you see any claws, man? No? Well, we're powerless. Our hands are tied.
I don't know what to tell you then.
And then speaking of terrible quips, she says, when I am finished with you, all they would need to carry you away is a small canning jar. Sorry. All they would need to carry you away is small canning jar. So not really up to, like, even a Steven Seagal movie, I would say.
That is one that they would have left that out. Like, your mouth is writing checks your ass can't cash.
Yeah.
And when I'm through with you, they need to carry you away in a pickle jar.
Yeah, a small one, not one of the big ones, because you can all imagine a really big pickle jar, right? No?
Demons looking down at his entrails as they were and just going like, "What do you need help finishing this?
Yeah.
What are you saying? I don't even know what you're.
Damn you! Just go back to damn you. You had it. You were there.
You.
Like, build from there. Work from that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. The sound of my blood leaving. You know what? I'm going to not pay attention to you. I'm going to listen to the sweet sound of my blood hitting the pavement. My God.
And then they reference what you mentioned earlier. What happened? Did you do this? Because the police do show up.
No local
word
law
about whether they're local or not. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes.
They come out, guns drawn, and they said, "What happened? Did you do this?" As there's a demon, presumably looking like a pile of guts from like Doom or something lying on the ground.
So is this still her? What happened? Did you do this? They asked, holding their guns. I noticed I hadn't donned my suit after leaving the angel state. Now it's a different.
Said as a quote.
As a quote, yes. So I don't know what that.
You don't know if it's the same as the angle state or.
Yes, that's what I'm curious.
Yeah, and the suit don't know about either. I don't think she had turned into a Nryphon at this point in time. Anyway, the cop shoots her, but she catches the bullet in his hand. And then she says, "I am Mistress White Eagle," and the local law enforcement's response is, "Prove it." Like if the son of Sam came to the station to turn him in and was like, "That was me," someone that everyone has heard of, been in the headlines for weeks. Oh yeah, prove it. Mistress White Eagle is just something they have up on the board, being like, you all know her, you know how she makes her living.
I'm gonna say that the next time, like, you get pulled over. And the guy, mirrored sunglasses, walks up to your car and taps on the window and, like, roll it down. Like, "I am Mistress White Eagle." And just see what happens. And then don't say anything else.
Yeah. There's about to be a civilian shooting. They're mocking me. I don't know how exactly, but I feel very mocked.
Pulls his weapon out, Got the flashlight there ready to smash your head.
One more chance, sir. And then, they talk her through it, and then the cops are done. They obviously understand that this is a demon she's killed, and she says, "Have a good day, officers." They said the same to me, and then drove off. So they said, "Have a good day, officers," back to her.
Yes, yeah.
And then they got in the car. They're like, stupid, like, when a waiter says, enjoy your meal, and you say, you too, kind of thing.
Right. Like, have a good trip back to California. Yeah, you too.
You too. Oh, God.
So then it's too late. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk back and say, the
Cop bursts in the door of the station. You're never going to believe what Jenkins said to Mistress White Eagle.
But she says, I think before they leave, the cops, I spit out a good deal of blood from my mouth. This is a quote from her. So she's saying this to the cops, I guess.
Oh.
I spit out a good deal of blood from my mouth where the demon had hit me as we fought. I turned, and just then, in reaction, the officer who shot his gun. I effortlessly caught his bullet in my hand. They're like, who did you say you were?
Yeah, this must be that new
Mistress
strain of
what?
meth that's going around. You don't. Oh boy, she's going to take her shirt off and go climb over a fence.
If she tries to eat your tongue, just keep shooting. Just empty your chamber into.
Now she says she's Mistress White Eagle, not helping convince me. But she just says, I first revived Master Whitebow with an old technique I learned from an old man from the past. And then I think she also...
Where was that? Where did White Eagle learn that? I was like, wait, did you stay at someone's cabin or something? Like, boy, I've been feeling down. Like, you can bunk up in my horse shed if you want, and I'll teach you a few things about how...
Reviving bodies, I ain't done that in a long time.
Oh, he's chopping wood. You want one more body revival, I'm guessing.
And then I think she also revives Lewis. I guess he died too, but
I then moved my hand and pointed at his cold body, which is when I began to weep. Suddenly his tone as well as the rest changed. It was now of concern and regret. So, we will leave to your husband. I am sure you can take better care of than we can. We will take the boy and be on our way. No, don't take him either. We can bring him back very easily. That's when the have a good day officers.
Got it.
What? Is she starting to revive? Is this her? Then? Is that she?
It's still her, yeah. And earlier it does say that the demon was lying on the ground and Master Whitebow along with Lewis. So they're all sort of just like laid out and she's standing there drenched in blood as the police arrive.
And they just take off.
Yes.
You got this covered.
The cops do, since she says she's Mistress White Eagle, they say, prove it, and she proves it by...
Oh, that's when she weeps?
Yes, she cries, and then they believe her.
Oh, suddenly his tone as well as the rest changed. That must mean the cops?
She does the same thing that she did when she convinced her family, that she hadn't told them they were married.
Oh, she did...
Yeah.
Oh. How are we supposed to know this? I don't know.
Sorry. How are we supposed to know this?
Sorry.
God. So then they spirit Lewis's body back to Telico with them, and it says, tonight you can sleep in my room, Lewis can have yours. So they do have separate bedrooms there. That's where that's made clear.
Yes.
And it said, we got this exchange. Both your kiss and the blood on your lips are sweet. I imagine they hit you. That is why your lips are covered in blood. Yes, but I finished them. Now we revive the boy. So we get a good boy reviving scene.
Oh, so they take him back to his place, and then does he say, "Where will you sleep?" His question was one of quick thoughtlessness. Oh, never mind. You are married to Whitebow. I wasn't thinking.
Yes.
What does that mean? Do you have any idea what that means? This 10-year-old, 10 or 11, right?
10 or 11. She told him to rest. I will take you to my room. And yeah, Lewis fixates on some weird things. He's fixed on, where she's going to sleep. He gets extremely hung up on how they're able to possess alcohol, even though they're underage in this realm. And I don't know, to me, dying and then being revived by mystical beings would just sort of take a lot of those questions off the table.
Dying twice, yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
All right, I have this as a dumb sentence.
Okay.
She ran her fingers through my hair, picked my hair up and threw it as I rested my head on the end of the tub. the end of the tub.
So she ran her fingers like this, like little guys across the...
Through my hair, yes.
And they tell each other they love each other. And then, judging from those scars, you didn't allow Zoser to revive me.
So Zoser is a person. Well,
yeah, Zoser's sitting there on the sideline being like, what the hell? Like, when a manager won't bring in their closer because it's not the ninth inning. Like, they left him in the bullpen.
Zoser. Okay, so this is towards the end of the chapter, and frankly, I don't know what's going on. Are they at their pyramid?
I believe so, yes, because,
and that's where they have a... I'm concerned about the bathroom and the tub and all of that.
Okay.
Do they have the right receptacles, the ones with the switches on them? Because with all that steam and everything, I'm just worried that the pyramid will short out the electrical system.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
So I just wonder about that grid, like who's in charge of the grid that goes
later
to
on,
the pyramid.
Lewis does observe that the lawn really needs to be mowed around the pyramid. So there is like menial labor happening in this environment. So,
wow. Okay.
But I'm just concerned about whether I hope that he has recycled the bathwater at least once since they've been there.
Oh, yes.
Early on, he was they were sharing it, and then he manages to just trip on over himself again. She's been sort of coming on to him, being like, "Let's get busy," and he's always like, "No."
Yeah.
And he says, "We now left the bathroom and went to bed. She was warm against my bare back." All right. I dreamed again that night. Okay. This time, however, about Lewis. God, come on, man. Come on, you have a girl right there with you. And then in the dream...
Right up against your bare back. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about Lewis.
Oh, Lewis, don't go in there.
God.
So they wake up, and what do? Of course, you have a 10 or 11-year-old boy you've taken from Ohio back to your mystical realm. Mm-hmm. It's time to make breakfast. And this time, they make a large hunk of beef, which sizzles as it hits the heated skillet. Mm-hmm. It takes him an hour to do this.
He baked it in spices and a fine smoky glaze.
Oh, he baked it yes, he bakes the beef.
He bakes a piece of beef for breakfast.
And so Hope is sitting in the living room being like, where the hell is breakfast? And he comes in being like, where's Lewis? And she's like, you're dreaming about him. You're asking about him.
Yeah.
But he says, he's in the library reading. Good. Reading is a good hobby for a boy his age. However, I think it will have to wait. Breakfast is ready. Roast beef sandwiches. Breakfast of champions.
This is just something from one of our shorts or something. Where
yes, right.
I then did what everyone should do. I had a roast beef sandwich for breakfast. Where you're like, thank you. A gift from heaven. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, where you start being like, was that a thing in the 50s? Of course it wasn't a thing in the 50s.
By the way, the other day we were at Costco, and we're in the deli section or something. Bridget was like, you have to go to Costco because I have to go there all the time. So you have to share the pain, right? Uh-huh. This is a pain. We're in the deli section, and I saw there were pints of oysters.
Wow.
So I bought a pint of oysters, and I have been enjoying
them. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Henry Slinkman. That's a deep cut for all of you out there.
It's a good thing to take in, 3 pints? Like what that would...
I should have bought 3. I only bought the 1.
Yeah, that would be committing to the bit. I'm sure they were kind of expensive.
They were.
But he sums up this roast beef sandwich with this sentence, which is like, it's like a remembrance of things past. It's a James Beard award-winning sentence. Nothing better than 2 soft pieces of bread and a large, massive hunk of meat in the middle. And then I was like, okay, that might break the dumb sentence of the week record.
But this is unattributed to, no, I don't want to get up, period. She complained, period. I stood up and then took hold of her arm, pulling her onto her feet.
He said.
He said her. Oh, God, it's so confusing.
Yeah, it's like he's narrating for if Lewis is legally blind or something. I'm Lewis, I am standing up and pulling her onto my feet just so you can see this. So he grants Lewis a Nryphon.
Yes. Yeah, and teaches him how to fly it.
Yeah, and I like this exchange. It's a girl. Yes, women get male and men get female. It's more compatible that way. You have one? No, we can transform into them. Nice. Lewis says nice when he,
Up top,
when
my
he
brother.
says that. Yeah. And then, as you'd expect at this point in time, they leave to go check in on the pyramid construction at Nryphons.
Mm-hmm.
And the perspective of the book switches to Lewis, the character who was introduced and then died and brought back to life 2 pages ago.
I don't think I even knew that. Oh, and he's flying. Is it Aubrey?
Yeah, he names his Griffin Aubrey. Yeah.
Here's another unattributed quote. Fly with her. No, I won't. No punctuation. Fly with her. Don't just let her do the flying. Lean into her. Turns and lean toward her as she accelerates. The closer you are to her, the faster and more accurate you can become. New quotes. Well, he is flying. We should just relax at the estate. Or, I paused. We could go see how Zran and Nryphons is coming. Well, we should tell Lewis that we are leaving. She cupped her hands around her mouth. Lewis and I, Master Bo, are going to Zran to view the construction. We'll be back about dark. He just waited for us to leave. ...
And yeah, that's when it shifts.
Mother. Infuriating.
And then the Nryphon, Aubrey, tells Lewis that they'll be happy if he makes them dinner. And so Lewis says, oh sure, I'll make him supper. He then flies to another province, asks some guy where he is. He goes to Wariko.
Yes, Wariko, which is the province of Magistra. And I wanted to return to Warikio.
Okay, but which is across the Talth Mountains.
The Talth Mountains. Again.
That's
yes.
right, yeah. Listeners are being like, "What? How are you confused about this?" Of course, it's across the Talth Mountains. And then, but while he's doing that, he gets attacked by a demon, and then Lewis kills the demon. He says, "I should have been frightened, but I had been in situations like this before when going to the king." So Lewis is just like, "This ain't my first rodeo." You've read Stephen's biography of me. You know all about this kind of stuff. And then for dinner, we get, we just had a huge, massive hunk of beef between 2 pieces of bread.
Baked beef.
Here's what Lewis decides to make. I decided to make just a small pig and a side salad using fresh vegetables from their garden. So extremely off-putting. If you're saying like, oh, we're having fish for dinner, that sounds normal. We're having chicken. If you said like, we're having pig tonight, grab a plate and get some pig. It's like, well, that's a little off-putting. Like,
and the dressing that he used? The dressing was handmade of olive oil and a touch of vinegar. Like, can you put a little more vinegar in that dressing? It's really oily, and I'm barely.
No, I want the pig to just shine through.
Can you salt it? Is there an herb?
No, none of that.
Just
touch of vinegar.
Take a hank of that pig there.
And the pig is made from fetched vegetables from their garden, by the way.
I'm still full from that baked beef for this morning's sandwich.
And they enjoy it, evident by Master Whitebow eating 2 plates of it, but Mistress White Eagle ate only 1. But that's reasonable, he said.
And he said, I think this is Lewis. I guess I just have to assume this is Lewis at this point. I was surprised at how well I prepared the food. I hadn't cooked that much anyway, so I was really surprised.
It sounds like a contestant who just like came in second on Top Chef, sort of talking them, pretending like they're okay with it. No, I was pretty surprised. I haven't cooked that much anyway as a 10 or 11-year-old.
I was just happy to be part of the competition. I learned. I really liked the people that I was with, and you cook a pig, you make some dressing. I didn't know you were supposed to use more vinegar. I'm sorry, so I'm gone. And
the
thanks,
credits are
everyone.
rolling. Yeah. Listener challenge: if you do have a 10 or 11-year-old out there, bring home a small pig, a suckling pig, some garlic greens, and say make dinner, and let us know how it goes. Because that's what Lewis is able to do, though. Bonus points if your person you're doing this to has died and been revived in the past 48 hours. It might make it a bit trickier, but
was what I wondered when he served them the pig. Was the guy who carried the pig on his horse, like he's just riding up and it's like looks in the window like, ding dong, hey, I got your... Oh, son of a...
You're letting a 10-year-old do it?
What the hell?
Yeah. That's like,
All
I
right.
named that pig. I bottle fed it. That is a quality hog.
I got hot grease running down my legs, but that's fine. I'll bring it back. I'll sell it at my shop at a half off. God.
Wait, is that Lewis from Stephen's biography? Oh, apologies. I did not know. Will you sign the copy? I take it with me. Yeah.
He's mouthing it through the window. I read your biography.
And then they say, like, Lewis, thank you for dinner. You probably should get some rest. You have a long journey back to Lutilla tomorrow. That, I think he also calls that the third world, but I don't think that's Ohio because he's bringing the Nryphon with him. So I think that's sort of where Lewis is making his, I don't know, that's where he's from. Like you said before, no idea what's
third world.
Lewis says something about the third world.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
That was the
real
Nryphon Aubrey. What happens to her when I go back to the third world? So maybe if Ohio is one world, here's the other one. Lutilla is part of another dimension. I don't know. It's all explained in the book, I'm sure.
Okay.
Stephen's book, not this one. Not the one
right.
we're reading. Right.
Yes, we're going to read that next. By the way.
And as a parting gift, as he's about to depart, he makes breakfast, of course. This is where he muses that the trip to the garden was cold and my shoes became soaked with the dew covering the much needed to be cut grass.
I missed that. Is that he makes breakfast? Do they mention what he makes?
I don't think he does. I think it's
seems
a
like
huge oversight.
Yeah, missed opportunity. I'm assuming it was pork and biscuits of some sort.
Yeah,
well, sandwiches, though. Wait a minute. What am I thinking?
They spend so much time focusing on the drink for breakfast that they sort of overlook that.
Yes. Coffee is mentioned again. So,
but this is where they get the sangria out of the cellars.
Oh, right. Yeah, which is non-alcoholic?
Non-alcoholic sangria, a.k.a. Warrior's Sangria, which he keeps saying, it's strong, so just take a sip. He repeated it, strong, even though it's not alcoholic. They do sell that. They sell a product. You can buy it on Amazon or whatever that's non-alcoholic sangria, which I imagine is, sparkling grape juice.
Ugh.
Yeah,
that's got to be awful.
Yeah.
Wow. That's and talk about trying too hard, like warriors.
Yeah.
Like Red Bull. We're going to give you the horns with us. Oh, that's sweet, gross shit. Like,
yeah. Oh, hey,
yes,
and drink it with your pinky out, Lewis. That's how we drink our Warriors Sangria. Tiger's blood. And that's where he sort of hangs up. It's like, why do you're not allowed to drink? But you have alcohol? Well, in Iris, I'm not old enough, but here the age is when the parents say so. Granted, my parents aren't here, and I being king, I'm allowed just the same. Does that answer your question? It does indeed. Oh, what else? We probably need to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, this is it, though. This is pretty much it. They give him the warrior blood. They grant Lewis a stone feather, allowing him to transport back and forth to the world whenever he wishes. Mm-hmm. And then they award him. They take him to Katosia, don't know where that is, and announce to a crowd that they're awarding Lewis some big honor. It's like the Medal of Honor. I told the crowd we would hold a feast that would span throughout the night. I assume that's another potluck.
Of course, yeah. Bring a dish to pass, please. The celebration was massive, and I enjoyed every bit.
Lewis.
I read your book.
And then it says we slept well that night and then went back to Eris, Ohio. The morning came quickly. We rose and prepared the coffee, foreshadowing. My parents walked out completely unaware of the past events of which had occurred.
So I did not pick up Iris. I thought I had no idea what's going on. Iris means Ohio.
Iris, it means Ohio. Which, to be fair, it's a cooler way to refer to it.
And is he just mixing up because he talked about Lake Erie before? Is he just sort of?
Oh God.
Just switching some letters, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, the dumbest theories are probably going to be true about this one.
Okay.
Wow. I don't know. So I'd like to call attention to the fact that the next chapter is called "The Force." So.
Also, it's a lowercase force.
But it's not in bold, so that's a positive.
Strange for a title, yes.
All right, let's do some dumb sentences to wrap this thing up.
Dumb, 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 dumb. Dumb sentence of the week.
the dumb sentences. Submitted by you, the loyal. The dumb sentences. That dumb sentence theme song was performed by Claire. Thank you for that. Very cool to have our own little compositions there. This first one is from Piper. The demon punched me numerous times, and then they began to hit me again. Braden, wake up. There is trouble in town. Demonic trouble. That's actually a pretty cool line. I don't know.
That's good.
Low bar, but Rick
Tilted
submitted
glasses. Demonic.
Yeah! Rick submitted, we still had 2 months in Eris, so why not go and do something like fight crime or something?
Okay.
Jim was the only one who submitted this one. Nothing better than 2 soft pieces of bread and a large, massive hunk of meat in the middle. Wow. I would have bet everything. Here's the other one. Elliot, Janelle, and Craig submitted, I inserted the burger and it was no more. Nathan submitted, I think while you cook, I am going to go and get a well-needed bath. All the crying made my face all bad feeling and dirty. And he said, I feel like commas are not added but thrown in like lawn darts in between words. Daniel and Harris submitted, our super sharp claws remain sheathed as to avoid detection from local law enforcement as well as demons. Mike submitted, it's all in the mind as usual and automatic when we are angered beyond the point of sanity. And he said, I'm pretty sure this is a Morrissey lyric. George submitted, I call it Warriors Sangria. He said, it's possibly the 2 stupidest words to combine in the English language. Alex submitted, when I am finished with you, all they would need to carry you away is a small canning jar. He said, you could highlight things in a Kindle and it shows you how many people have read them. He said it had the most highlights of any reading assignment you've ever given. Jeffrey submitted, I decided to make just a small pig and a side salad using fresh vegetables from their garden. Justin and Scott submitted, she laid my head against my chest. We missed that one in our covering, but they said it sounds painful. Brian submitted, we had come a long way considering all the things. Amy submitted, thus tears fell. Voluntary submitted, if your loved one died before you, would you just leave them? That's a question posed to somebody. Amanda submitted, I am glad once again to see you. I fell into death's hands only moments before you did. That's a remember when our parents died. Hayden submitted, the now sun-covered forest that surrounded us, it was cool and beautiful each breeze, but each breeze enchanted the trees, directing them into a gentle dance high above out heads. Mary submitted, I mean, marrying me, we have been married as warriors since that day at the restaurant. She says Golden Corral, perhaps. Another aside, my first job was at Golden Corral, so a tiny piece of my psyche gets healed every time she hears a Golden Corral's new slogan joke. Nice. And Alejandra submitted, they of which were greeted by her welcoming smile. So I'm glad that persists. Thus of which, they of which. I have a similar one from mine. Mine was very simple. Thus tears fell. Yes. Poetry.
I just want to back this up. We had Clam Woman. What was the other one? Something Mom?
Clam Woman and Man Mom. You're married, Man Mom is going to freak.
Here's another one. I just realized it. Almost Dad. Just has to finish up the brats. Clam Woman, Man Mom, and Almost Dad.
Yeah. Shitty Avengers coming to your comic stand now.
One of the other ones was, it's a full sentence. It's on its own. Said Lewis.
Nice.
So that's all there is, yes.
Said Lewis. Yes, Lewis. It's sort of, you slur it enough. I had one more. Yes, for your death I am sorry, but I see you understand. I don't know who that was saying. I think it was someone apologizing to Lewis, maybe.
On its own, also, commended Aubrey as she caught me. That's just a full sentence. Right.
And with Aubrey being a Nryphon makes that even better.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think even for one chapter we went long, but it wasn't 3 hours, so mission accomplished.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot.
Thank you, Patreon. I think that we got to finish this one.
Yeah.
I know some of you are frustrated, but we're getting it done. It's going to be good.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
So long.